Okay,
good.
now we're recording. Okay, the agenda.
Minutes?
I think it's minutes, yeah. Yes, let's accept the minutes and then we'll have the treasurer's report. So were there any changes to the minutes? They looked good to me, Dee. Somebody want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept.
I second.
Okay. All in favor, put your hand up.
Yep.
Okay, motion passes. The minutes are accepted. And now it's time for the treasurer's report. Jim?
Well, pretty good news. We had a lot of, well, a few very large contributions where people cashed out their 401ks or whatever and that they needed to and contributed to the church. So we had a outstanding month and put us solidly in the black for the for not only the month but for the year. So it's looking a lot better, especially with return to in-person services here at the end of the month. It's looking good for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Great.
that's
Good news.
very good news. Yeah, glad to see that.
Yeah.
Are the rest of the contributions or the rest of the items about normal or anything unusual?
Yeah, about maybe slightly elevated because of Easter.
Yeah. Seeing if I can bring it up here. Okay, yeah, here we are.
Questions? I had budgeted to, take $2,000 from the proceeds of the rental house each month this year, but didn't do that this month because we didn't need to and may not need to for quite a few months. And so we can pad that money in the rental property fund for future repairs or improvements unless we need it.
Okay, good. Yeah, it shows here that we're $15,470 in the black for the year to date. So that'll carry us for a while for sure.
First 3 months, we lost about $6,000. So, carrying it forward, if we maintain what we did in the first 3 months, we'll be about break even at the end of the year. But I expect with the return to in-person that we'll be doing better. So it's looking a lot better.
Yeah, we can take a little deep breath and relax a little bit here. That's good. Okay, any questions? Any more questions?
Nice to see that the building fund went up $26 in the discretionary fund. I mean, the diocesan investment fund.
Oh, yeah.
Up at $26.
Yeah, that's good.
Getting closer to phase 2.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Yeah,
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. And next thing on the agenda is Loretta, the building use policy. Would you like to take that, Loretta?
Sure. I wanted an update as far as if any revision has been made to the building use. It was brought up last month. And kind of what triggered it all was getting a request from Carol Now to use the church for 2 separate organizations that she's involved with, the Linus Project and a quilting group. And it was discussed at outreach, and we decided it's really not an outreach decision as far as having oversight of who does or doesn't use the church and deciding if they pay or not. It should be kind of a BC responsibility. And it was and David previously had created the building use policy, which was pretty good, but what was missing was who's in charge, who has oversight, and specifically what's the process when somebody requests to use the church, what's the specific step-by-step process, as well as kind of very specifically outlining how is it decided whether a particular group is charged or not. So Peter, you'd said that you would take the lead on that, and a few people, I think Dee, and then I don't know who else had volunteered to help with that, and Penny. Oh, and Peter, you're on mute right now.
I have looked at the policy. I haven't made any changes to it, but I thought if we could get together, and since we now can get inside the buildings and stay unmasked, that just came out. Maybe if we could meet at church, we could talk about these things and which areas were of main concern, because there aren't that many changes I think that we need to propose. As you say, somebody for oversight. And if we want a person in the congregation who does that, or we have a small group that, or even a subcommittee of the BC that does that. Those are things that we could discuss and then propose to the BC. And as for funds, the thing, if we're involved with a person who is a member of our parish, we don't charge the group. And so if Carol is part of these groups, they can make donations, but I don't think necessarily we're going to charge them.
Do we know whose computer has the
document?
thing on it? Is it Linda's? Does Linda have it in her computer?
The building use policy? I've got a copy right here. I thought we sent it out.
We
Yes, we
did,
did.
but I mean, if we're going to make changes, it's got to be in somebody's computer so that we can get the changes in there.
Yeah, I think it's a PDF, so everybody's got it, and then we can, if we make changes, we'll have to label it that way.
Right. I don't know that everybody has PDFs that can be edited. I have a program, my PDF program does edit. So.
Oh,
Okay.
Linda will have to turn it back into a Word document and then edit it.
I'd like to be able to provide a response to Carol because she's been waiting like over 2 months. She submitted a request to the outreach team with all the kind of points of contact for the requests. So I'm not sure what to tell her at this point. I told her before that it went before the BC and a decision would be made. So I think we owe her a decision. Right now, there's a request by the AA meetings. It's later on the agenda. It's all part of the same thing. The question about what's the process, who has oversight, who's got the schedule, and how do we go about deciding who does or doesn't have use of the facility, who's coordinating the use, who's figuring out kind of what to charge. And in terms of the AA request, Carol now, I think, has first dibs in terms of, I think we owe her a decision as far as, is it okay? And if it is okay, who should she be contacting to kind of set that up as far as a specific date?
Yeah. Now, Linda is the one who schedules the building. Now, she shouldn't be the one to make the decision about costs or but the scheduling needs to go through Linda.
Okay, so
Is there any criteria in terms of what kind of meeting is going on? Well, I know that Linus Project is strictly a social service, and quilting could be. Is there any criteria there?
Well, a group is a group. I don't think it matters whether it's a social service group or not. We are supposed to limit it to nonprofit groups and stay away from profit-making
okay.
groups.
Okay, you answered my question.
Okay.
So shall I tell Carol yes to both of the groups that she's involved with, and to get in touch with Linda to schedule it?
Could you tell us what those groups are again? I forgot.
It's the Linus Project, and they make, I believe, they make blankets for kids who are involved as victims of crime or have been abused. Somehow they make things for children. I think blankets for children.
Knitted, usually, I think.
Pardon?
I think they're knitted.
Okay. And then the quilt group isn't specifically like a social service group. It's not a bona fide nonprofit agency, but Carol's involved with that group, and over time they have donated quilts to different kind of worthy causes.
Do
As somebody who has quilts for Jessica from my Oma, from her quilting group, when she passed away, they went ahead and did hers. I have a soft spot for the quilt group.
Yeah.
So
Do they need to bring their sewing machines and all that?
I believe so.
Do they
Yep.
need storage?
I don't know. So I mean, all those are all the decisions for any group that comes will have to be figured out, and like who's going to be overlooking that and deciding. But so my guess is for the quilt group, they will bring their machines set up and then take them away. I don't think they're asking for storage.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
To
Well, what
me,
they need to
a group
do is
like
give us
that,
a provisional thing of what they need to do to facilitate their needs, and then we can answer it with a solid yes or no, but they can have a provisional yes at this point till we get what their agenda is.
yeah, I think a group like that is one that we should, just invite in, because Carol is a member of our church. It's it's a small group. It's an informal group. It's really a ministry of our church because Carol is doing it. So that, to me, I have no problem with that.
Okay, so and what I can do, I'm just grabbed the two forms that Carol submitted to me 2 months ago. If it's okay, I can just read it. It's pretty brief for the two organizations. So for the Project Linus, since they used to meet at Pacific Fabrics, and since then, Project Linus, since Pacific Fabrics closed in East Bremerton, they've been in need of a place to gather once a month. Typically, it's the last Sunday of each month from noon to 12:30, noon or 12:30 to 5 p.m. And then she said who the coordinator was. Support needed: tables, chairs, electrical outlets. Blanketeers bring their sewing machines and sewing supplies. Generally, Claudia provides water and other drinks and snacks along with an ironing board. And she or another project member comes with sets of children's blanket kits prepared for folks to work on. So they sew blankets. I had discussed this with Father Bill when Pacific Fabrics first closed, and he was in favor of this, and then came COVID. So that's Project Linus. So the quilt group, our prior meeting place is no longer available. The quilt group meets the first Saturday of the month from 10 to 3. We bring our machines, projects, and sewing supplies. The only needs are tables, chairs, and electrical outlets. And as far as what they've done, the quilt group, they have provided 5 quilts of valor to soldiers, a quilt of honor to an Army widow, and we coordinated with Project Linus to provide 3 children's quilts to the boys of a seriously injured in Afghanistan soldier. We have about 30 members, but generally between 6 to 14 show up to sew on a given day.
So it sounds like they might need to be in the nave. Is that right?
I think so.
And that would be on a Saturday morning?
It's Sunday,
The first Saturday of the month from 10 to 3.
Saturday. Okay, yeah.
10 to
it's
3.
Saturday.
Mhm.
My guess is they'd be flexible as far as work around whatever is happening for us.
Yeah, Ultra is often in there on Saturday morning, although not necessarily. I mean, they
Mhm.
they come at different
There's no
times.
Conflict with the Altar Guild.
Is there any other information that might be needed to make a decision on Carol's 2 requests?
Well, I'm wondering about the Linus group. What time did you say would meet on Sunday?
The last Sunday of each month from noon or 12:30 to 5 p.m.
I'm wondering if 12:30 is a little bit early. We have A 10:15 service gets out at 11:15. Then we have coffee hour. It gets up towards noon. We probably would be out of there by 12:30.
Maybe
But
one
it
would
would,
be a better time.
1 o'clock, I think, would be a
That's for
better
1
time.
o'clock.
yeah.
Maybe 1 to
Some of
6.
us are jibber jabbers and accidentally stay a wee bit longer. So,
Yeah, it would make it better for the parking lot too.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the second group, is that a nonprofit group?
It's not an official nonprofit group, the Quilt Group.
The Quilt Group is just an informal group, but the Linus Project, is that a nonprofit?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I emailed everyone a link to their organization.
Oh, okay.
How about-
So that's a little bit different. And they're a little bit bigger, right? They're bigger than the Quilt Group or
The
the,
Quilt Group, we have about 30 members, but generally between 6 to 14 show up to sew on a given day.
yeah.
So the advantage of, having them in, so if it's not necessarily a sanctioned nonprofit group, it would just, give an opportunity for more people to get to know St. Antony's and kind of have a good feel for us.
Yeah, that's always the big plus for having people come in. Yeah. Okay. So are we all right with letting these two groups use our building?
So we have a proposal
I'm in favor.
and we have a second.
I second.
Okay, that sounds good. All in favor, say aye, or put your hand up, brother.
All right.
Okay,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay.
Loretta, will you let her know?
I'll let her know and I'll copy Linda and you, just letting Carol know she'll need to coordinate with Linda for the
Yeah.
scheduling of it. And in terms of charging, I'll tell her there won't be a specific charge and it'll be up to her as far as maybe if she might want to take up a donation for either group.
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
Maggie Scott said she was part of a quilting group at a church and they just kind of passed a hat around, kind of a donation for use of the building. I think that sounds fair.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Loretta, for bringing that up and giving us all that information.
I have a question regarding that. Since Carol is a member of our church, would we be giving her a key so that she would lock up afterwards?
Yeah, I think she would be the one that would be responsible for unlocking and locking.
Okay.
And that would be something that needs to be detailed in the just revision of the facility use guide.
Okay.
Tracking of that. That's pretty important.
Yeah, it's going to make a difference whether the person coordinating this is a member of our church or like the AA group,
Right.
they're not,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's a group that doesn't have someone directly linked to the church, what we could do is like I don't know how often like AA would meet, but like if they meet once a week or whatever, we could have throughout the BC, we all take turns kind of like we do for BPOD, and we could go and let them in and then make sure like when they're ending, we go and make sure they clean up after themselves and then we lock back up. Just an option.
Okay,
I could be the AA liaison. I'm a member of AA, not that particular group, but they're all open, so
yeah, okay.
I'll get in contact with the gal and I can do that.
Okay, let's, one
And
more
I
thing
apologize
before we get to AA.
Right.
Peter, did you say you were gonna get together with the group to work on the building use policy?
Yeah, well, Penny and Loretta, we need to meet.
Yeah.
And
You wanna set a date?
Yeah, Dee said
when you would
she
like to do that, I will contact you. We'll set up a time.
okay.
We
Yeah, and
won't do it now.
yeah, and I wasn't interested in being part of that, but I think
thought you
Dee
said
and
you-
Penny and you, Peter, and I'm not
Penny
sure.
and I will meet and we'll talk about it.
And D.
And D.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
Right.
Dee and Penny and Peter will go over this. Okay.
Okay.
You
Great.
know, I think, while I think it's fine for a member of our church to have a key and be responsible for opening and closing after their group finishes, I think ultimately we're going to be faced with needing someone, whether it's an additional position on the BC, someone who is coordinating the use along with Linda of the building, because we're still thinking in the future, we think about weddings. And that's something that we've ran into before.
And realistically, we would need to find somebody who lives close. I mean, it's like, I would love to open the door, but I live in Belfair.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
you all.
moving. I'm moving right away now. I'm like
Well-
7 minutes away from the church.
Have we thought about having a verger?
What's a verger?
Someone who would
A
open and
verger.
close the doors and be
Yeah.
responsible for that, for a, a salary of whatever we could afford or whatever.
I think of a verger as a liturgical person.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they also hit the kids over the head with their verger pole when they get out of hand in church.
True.
church with that.
Okay.
But
That from
the
experience,
verger,
Bill?
the verger is responsible for opening and closing
Okay.
of the building.
So
I've
that's,
never heard of that term before.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes
exactly.
sense.
yeah, in big churches, they have a verger
Yeah.
who leads the procession and carries
Yeah.
this scepter. And
I don't think
they have a
we need-
liturgical function. Yeah. Okay, so maybe Peter and Penny and Dee can come up with some ideas about that.
And I'll coordinate with them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that takes care of that part here. Okay, so since we've been talking about building, why don't we go into the AA request? Now, I got a call from Richard from the AA group, and he said that the blue building above Maynard's restaurant there has been used by all the AA groups in the Silverdale area. So it's been used like often 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening meetings. And they have like 19 meetings a week. And, could be 6 to 10 people a meeting. And I said, I don't think we can manage to have 19 meetings a week, but maybe we could have some. So what do you think? Should we make an offer, or do you want to not do this, or what?
We might look at what their meeting times are that would work for us.
Well, we could offer them a time slot or something.
Is there any, I mean, I don't want to, this might be an off question. Sometimes I do this, but is there any reason that we can't say, hey, we have somebody in the office during this time? These are the times that would be good. And then you don't have to worry about someone opening the door, or is this a afternoon so that people who, when they get off work, can go to these meetings? Like, what timeframes would we be looking at?
Yeah, I think that a lot of Episcopal churches have AA meetings, and they pretty much just give them a key. It's just not practical to try to open and close for every AA meeting. But we could certainly say, you can have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or, Saturday, or we could just set a number of meetings that they could have, or a time slot or something.
Well, we can also contact St. Paul's and see what their policy is, how they're working theirs, because they have AA and NA that meets there. I don't know how often they were, but a lot of times when we were having our choral practices, we were in the church proper or downstairs, and they were in the Oliver room.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I would assume they'd probably meet in the kitchen by the kitchen where the Bible study was meeting, right?
Probably the
there's a
gathering
minor,
room.
small kitchen area.
It depends somewhat on the time, you know, there are some meetings that are larger and some that are quite tiny. So they, as I recall, have meetings at 7, at noon, sometimes at 10, at 5, and 7 or 8 in the evening. So one meeting would be plenty, I would think, to get started and see
Okay.
what that went like, because there's lots of churches around that they can go to. So
Yeah,
And I like, Julie, your suggestion as far as maybe, so kind of starting off and maybe starting off small, starting off at a time, just offering a time when someone is in the church. So that would kind of help in terms of who opens and closes. It would already be open.
It would also help, at least at first, kind of figure out what they need that we did not anticipate.
some meetings have food, but some of them have coffee, some of them don't have any. And other than that, I can't think that there would be a lot of things that people would need. Sometimes they bring books, but they're pretty low impact, I think, on the places where they meet.
yeah.
Mm.
They will
So,
adapt. They'll adapt to whatever whatever the venue wants. So
the hours of Linda is there is Tuesday to Thursday, 10 to 1, except on Thursdays, she's there till 2. I think that's what it is.
the other thing is that I live fairly close, and I'm perfectly willing to come over and look after that. This is, this is my life. So
Well,
Okay.
and if we offer maybe two time slots to start off, maybe one could be when Linda's there or you, Bill, and then one during a time that the office isn't manned. So Esther, so to not overwhelm you with having to run to the church so much.
right. Well, to get me to a meeting, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
This
Okay.
may be a stupid question, but if having either Bill or Linda there, does that destroy any of their anonymity? I mean, it is Alcoholics Anonymous.
I think as long as they can go in by a separate entrance and meet in a room, so they're not,
Mhm.
I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
But you can always ask them. That's not my group, so I don't, that particular set of meetings is not my group, so can't
I
speak.
can't see Bill randomly waltzing over to the gather room from his office. Oh, I accidentally popped in over here. Yeah.
I don't think so.
At the same time, I have passed AA people in every church I've ever been in. I've been there to do things and whatever, and there's been an AA meeting, and nobody, as long as it's not we're not interested in what they're doing, I don't think it's a problem.
As long as you're not taking pictures and selling them on the internet, I think you're fine.
Yeah, there's probably, a variety of responses from different AA groups, but by and large, my experience has been the same as what Emily said, that, as long as you don't poke around, pry, they're fine. Yeah. Okay, so did I hear a proposal to sponsor 2 meetings? Is that what you said, Loretta?
Yes.
I
And
think
then-
that's a good idea.
Okay,
We can start
I'll
with Bill.
second that.
what's that, Esther?
I said I'd second it if that was a motion. I thought it was.
Okay, well, why don't we, Esther, would you be willing to talk to Richard?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we could give that to you. And why don't you tell him we could sponsor 2 meetings? Is that meeting 2 times a week? Loretta, is that what you're saying?
Now, just because I think they have lots of meetings that are happening, maybe we can offer that they could use our church for 2 meetings a week.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So two different meetings, 1 a week each, is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
One one
in a week.
clarification. When we're talking about a meeting, it is the same group?
Yeah, you know, when they're talking about meetings in plural, they're talking about different groups. They're all different. So a meeting is a single group.
Okay,
That's kind of the way we've operated. So a meeting is a single group.
is that meet one time a week?
Yeah,
Okay, so we're offering 2 meetings a week
Yes.
to them. Yeah, okay, and Esther, you could do that. Okay, so Loretta, you want to put that in the form of a motion? The two groups, 2 meetings a week.
Okay, so I make the motion that St. Anthony's agrees to host 2 AA meetings a week.
Okay,
I second.
okay, good, thank you. And is there any more discussion about this? Okay, all in favor, put your hand up. Okay, motion passes.
now they will pay for the time, so you need to know what you want to charge.
Oh, do you have any
Okay.
suggestions?
Yeah, whatever they do, it's a donation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do we need to set that ahead of time, Esther?
yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Whatever is reasonable for you, for us.
Have you got any suggestions?
What's the
They were
normal?
paying Prior.
we could talk to St. Paul's and see what they get.
I don't know what they charge. I've not been a treasurer, so.
How do they do it? Is they just put $1 in the pot, or do they have a treasury that they
They
pay out of
have,
the treasury?
well, each group usually has a treasurer. And during the pandemic, people have been donating by Zelle.
Mhm.
But when we're having an in-person meeting, yeah, we pass the basket. So every meeting we pass the basket, and that's how they pay for the, but AA tradition requires that they pay for the meeting space.
Right,
Could be just set as just payment by donation each meeting, as opposed to a set amount.
No, I would rather have a set amount. I think that's better for the group.
Okay,
Do we
is,
know how long their meeting would be each time?
Most of the meetings over here are an hour.
Okay,
Yeah, in Seattle, sometimes they're an hour and a half, but over here, I've only encountered 1 hour meetings.
so we're talking like $5 a meeting or $10 a meeting, something like that?
I think meetings have been paying like $70, $80 a month, something like that.
Okay, so that'd be more like $20 a meeting.
Okay.
You want to just
That's
say 20?
reasonable. Yeah, let's say 20.
Okay.
Okay.
They pay by the month, so yeah.
Okay, well, let's suggest that. If that's way out of line, then we can adjust.
Okay.
Okay,
keep in mind in this building use policy that David made in 2019, he did have on the very last page, he had a suggested amount to be charged. So that might be something to take into consideration too.
how
What
much
was,
is it?
Well, it depends upon where. If you're in the sanctuary, if you're a church member, you don't pay. But a non-member pays $1,000. If you
That's for
go
a
to the
wedding.
event pavilion, you pay, and you're non-member, you pay 300. If you're using the kitchen, you pay 25. And if you're using the gathering room and you're a non-member, you pay $100. You get the kitchen for 4 hours for 25, the sanctuary non-member for 500, and the event pavilion for 150. So it kind of depends, but that's what's on here. So just,
Well, I think of those numbers as being for like large events, like a wedding or
yes.
a big meeting or a concert or something.
and that's just another area in that the policy that needs to be clarified, because I think the fact that, I mean, Carol now has made the requests for her 2 groups, and then AA, we're going to get a lot more requests, which is a good thing. That's what we've wanted, but I think they're going to be coming.
yeah.
So I think part of being prepared is kind of knowing how we're going to handle it. And we're starting to do that. And that's a good thing.
You know, one thing I'm thinking of is I know that we can set times when meetings are available, but the number of people that might attend a meeting might really vary. In which case you think about, you want to think about if you've got someone just desperately comes to a meeting who doesn't normally go to that meeting, you know, you might end up with more people or you could end up with less. So it's not, the time being available is not necessarily a function of how many people are going to be there.
Right.
So that's
And I listened to those numbers, Penny, and I'm thinking on the same lines as Bill, that that's an event, that's something that somebody's decorating or
Yes.
like setting up. And this is more of a, we need a place to pull up some chairs, set up a circle, have a good heart to heart. And they're not really having a big footprint. And I don't know if any of those numbers really support that kind of thing. And
No, I
so,
think you're right, Julie. And I think it was originally set up for weddings. That was what was in mind.
Yeah.
so is that something that we can add, Bill? Like if it's like an AA meeting or whatever anonymous meeting, because we don't know what types will come to us, you know, just a $20 per meeting. So if you plan on having 4 a month, that's $80. If you plan on having 2 a month, that's $40 and just go from there.
Yeah, I think that's something that Peter should work on. I think there should be a graduated cost so that if it's a small meeting, it'd be 10, if it's a large meeting, 20, something like that.
I do
Right,
think
we'll bring that back because that
we need to
proposal
move this to the
has to go
committee and
through
move
the
it out of
BC.
here, though. We're spending too much time on it.
Okay, so let's let Peter and his group go ahead and they can come back with something next month.
Great.
Okay, very good. Okay. Julie, the playset, did you have something you wanted to share with us there?
Yes, so a member who will remain anonymous, think of anonymous, kind of came to me and said, what I would, since I guess I'm dealing more with youth, like what about a play set? And then I talked to Jesse and Jesse said a play set is basically advertisement. When somebody comes to the church, we want you and your kids. And let's face it, the future of any church involves not just some, you know, settled, more mature groups. It's also young families and keeping the blood coming in. We can't all rely on the Stockwells to populate our church.
We're done.
We're running out of gas here a little bit.
So Jesse was saying it's great advertisement. The other thing is the naval bases are starting to cut back their chapel services and they're pushing the members out to the community. And so we're about to have a flux of young families that to some extent are also intermittent because, you know, some of them are only here 2-3 years looking. And I know when we looked around, we were looking at all the places and the first thing that got us through the door is, do you have a play set? And we went to St. Bade's and St. Bade's sent us to you guys and hey, we're here. But yeah, so it was kind of brought up and the person kind of told me there's a spectrum. And I looked into the whole process of having a play set, liability, things like that. And ironically, it's actually covered under general liability that the church has to have anyways, as long as it's in good repair and we're never renting it out.
Right.
So we cannot rent it out. It's just part of there. It doesn't have to be fenced in necessarily, but it has to be in good repair. And so that's where kind of there's also the spectrum of if we decide this is something that we want to church source, like say, if people want to make donations for that to happen, we have it to where we can say, we have the low end play set, but we also have the more industrialized, the ones that are meant for like parks that have a much longer lifespan and less chance of breaking. And, that's something that would be considered, but like this person said it to me, and I know how my girls are basically little monkeys in human form. So, and so I guess I'm a little invested in it, but
Yeah, that's good.
it does make sense to have some kind of area that, you have that 2-year-old that just won't calm down, take them out in the back, let them play on the play set, and they come in, not a terror.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have any trouble selling this. I think it's a good idea. Do you have an idea for a place for it?
The place that would make sense to me is right by the door where the nursery is.
Mhm.
That would be the place that makes the most sense for me, because the door can always be either propped open or unlocked so that they can come in, and there's a staging area to kind of settle down before going into the main church.
Yeah.
The only other place I could think of, if not there, is a little bit more visible location, or next to the garden when the garden gets put in, because then if somebody has a 7 or 8-year-old and wants to come help with the garden, they can see their kid while they're working on the garden.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of not having a fence, because the other thing is we would need to put up a sign that says adult supervision required. Because seriously, kids think they're immortal.
Yeah.
So does some of us.
The land use plan called for it to be outside of the nursery door, behind the offices area, that in that space where you were talking about originally.
That's right. We put it
And
in
that's
there,
what the
didn't we?
land use plan says.
Yeah, that's, we had that put together, and when we were doing the whole planning, is that eventually we would have some facility in there with undetermined size, but we'd have something in there.
Well, Julie, I think it would be really possible to sort of advertise this and ask if people would donate to it, and see what we come up with. Did you have a budget or an idea?
Well, unfortunately, we already took the play set that we recycled and installed it for our yard, so you can't have that one. That one was free initially. I don't think I can get you that. But you can get play sets as low as 500, which is not really recommended right now. Like, that would not last us very long. If we went through a place like Costco, we could get them for as low as 1,000, 2,000. But you're looking industrial, it can get pricier. But again, it all depends on how long. I would have to ask Jesse how much pea gravel would cost. If you're looking at long-term efficiency, what to put down under the play set, pea gravel is going to be by far the most economical. You're not going to have to replace it. It does a pretty good job of breaking the fall, and the worst that a kid will do is try to shove it up his nose or lick it.
Yeah. Well, what I would suggest is that we come up with some kind of a plan, put some kind of a price figure on it, because when you go to the congregation, you say, we need $2,000, and that kind of gives people an idea of what to calibrate. Should I give $50? Should I give $500? Whatever. So it helps if people know what the total budget is. And we
Julie,
can-
there's a business in East Bremerton that is just playground equipment, and it's industrial playground equipment. They're off the west side of Wheaton Way 303 there.
Do you know the name?
I can get it for you. I've got it.
If you could get that for me, my gut, honestly, and I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, our best bet is to go more of the industrial side, because it is a little too easy to get lackadaisical about wood planks and them rotting. And a lot of the industrial stuff is plastic, which may not be the best for the environment, but as far as longevity, it's going to stick around a lot longer with a lot lower maintenance. So
any of your parks or anything like that all have that type of equipment in it anyway, and we've got to move that same direction if we're going to do something that we're going to leave in an uncontrolled area. So One, so it
So-
doesn't get damaged.
So I'll do a low end budget and a high end budget and see where that puts us.
Okay,
But I agree, the industrial just seems the better bet to go.
okay.
One
Well, why don't you-
question,
Yes,
is this for church use only, or is this will be gated? Because if it's not only for church, yeah, you have to think about liability. If it's fenced in, because if there's kids in the neighborhood, they're gonna be like,
So-
hey, playground.
so I actually looked into that, and when somebody, so if they're part of, say, if we have like, say, official classes that people enrolled in, we actually have a higher liability to those students than a neighborhood kid who just comes on the property. So I looked up the liability, and pretty much all of it falls under general liability of, we can't be held responsible for somebody coming on the property
Mhm.
if they're not directly affiliated with us. And even when they're
Okay, but
directly
say
affiliated,
if neighborhood kids come and play, no one's there to watch them, they get hurt, it's on them. Now, the wear and tear of use, now more people realizing there's a playground nearby, they want to go and use it. And then you have to repair it if it breaks, or who's going to upkeep that? Is there going to be a designated person that does that, or clean when you use it kind of thing? I mean, it's a good idea. But I would think you would want to secure it in or fence it in for church purpose only.
I like the idea of letting neighborhood kids come, because that's the way we get people on the property, and our liability covers it.
Right.
And you can
Right.
always put a statement out there that says, we're not.
You're on your own risk.
the
Yeah,
big,
you have to say
Sure.
use at your own risk.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
but
the big thing is you have to put the sign out there. The other thing is, legally speaking, the general liability covers if a neighborhood comes in and breaks his arm. The general liability insurance helps cover the fact that the kid broke his arm, and we can help to some extent, but at the same point, we had a sign, so we don't have to pay all the bills.
Right.
Does that make sense?
At the
It's,
same time, Jeffy, my question is, playground equipment for a 3-year-old is very different than playground equipment for like an 8 or 9-year-old. And at the same, and that's something we need to think about too.
we'd have to definitely be choosy. I'm right up the street from the state park, and so I see what they have.
Okay.
And I mean, granted, Jessica's a little bit physically advanced for her age. I don't know too many 2-year-olds who can rock wall climb, but she has been playing on that one since she's been 1.5.
Uh-huh.
And so Marie's a little bit further behind than her. And so obviously I can't let her do that, but I see kids everything from age 2 to age 14 on that play set.
And if there's a child, if you're talking about a 3-year-old, there needs to be a parent. If
Oh,
not,
yeah.
the parent has some liability. So, the small kids
But 4 or 5-year-olds.
don't have 3-year-olds walking around the neighborhood, in my experience.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so what I can do, Emily, is I can take a look at what the state park has, because it
Yeah.
seems to hit a pretty wide age group. I mean, my girls can play there, but again, I see some really big kids quite happy playing on it. So I'll see what they have that's close to that.
you'll be able to get an idea when I get this company to you, and you can see what their catalog has in it, and they can
Oh,
give you
good.
some advice on doing exactly what you want to do.
Right, and I'm not gonna have them install a rock wall like I did on mine. I mean, I've got some exceptionally physically active kids.
Yeah, I blame the parents for that.
Probably.
I do have some pole climbing spurs if you want to borrow those.
Do you really? Jesse wants some. That would make a great Father's Day gift.
Okay.
My
I
son
think-
just went to work for REI, so down in Colorado Springs, who knows?
I
Okay.
have one question about the play area.
Yes,
So,
you can play there.
well, duh, but my question is, what are we putting underneath it? Is it gonna be just the grass? Is it gonna be wood chips? Is it gonna be like that recycled rubber stuff?
I would recommend pea gravel. Economically, it's the cheapest. Ecologically, it's the less damaging. Any kind of wood chips, I'm gonna be honest, it gets all up in clothing. It gets splinters everywhere, and I hate it, especially with little kids. That's my personal thing. The rubber is actually very expensive to get playground level rubber. You can get rubber anywhere, but most of it has metal spikes in it.
Yeah.
But it's ground
Which is
up.
not-
Yeah, again, we're at the position that this needs to move to committee and we need to move on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Julie, would you bring us back something next month that's more specific then?
I could do that.
Okay, thank you.
I will get a budget.
I
Okay,
just want to make one comment about the playground set, and I think it's a great idea. And I'm thinking that just whatever is picked, it'd be good to get the biggest bang for the buck in terms of interest for kids, but also to not preclude the fact that kids just love, if they're squirrely in the church, go outside and run in the field. So the playground will be a nice lure, but I don't think the playground is going to be the kind of the end all for kind of discharging that need for activity. So I think it's a great idea. I think it'll be interesting for the kids, but it doesn't have to be extremely elaborate. Just something that's interesting that will appeal to a wide range. But kids
Absolutely.
love just being outside and running in the fields. So
Absolutely.
A bucket of track shoes available for them.
yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Okay, let's move
Moving
on to our next agenda item here. Bishop Rickle has offered to do a series of stewardship trainings next September, starting at September 5th. It would be on Sunday afternoons from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And this would be a way to train a team and make a plan for a stewardship campaign to be carried out in October and November. Bishop Rickle is a very experienced stewardship speaker and trainer. And I think this would be a really good opportunity and a way to learn about stewardship. It would take some time because it's 5 Sunday afternoons, 2 hours each. But the advantage is that we would come up with a plan at the end of it that would make our stewardship campaign, just roll out. And of course, we're already scheduled to have a stewardship banquet with Bishop Rickle on late October. So I just thought I'd bring that up and see if what you would like to do with that.
Now, you will not be there, right?
Well, I'll be here in September. I can help with that part.
sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah, I'd be interested in learning more and participating.
Okay.
And I would be interested too. Though I
Okay,
may be
good.
traveling in September, but if it's virtual, then I can still participate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be online. Mhm. It
And
is
the
going to be
stewardship
online.
Dinner is the 21st of October.
21st, yeah. So that's right in our time frame. And having that banquet gives us a frame for the stewardship campaign before we even start.
Right.
Okay, so I have a couple people who are interested. Anybody else?
Well, I would go. I don't know anything about stewardship, so.
Dee and Esther, okay. Let me put your names down and we will talk about it later and I'll bring you some more information.
Okay.
Okay, good, good. All right, the next item is this septic system repair. Now, I told you about this in my report, but basically we have a contract with a septic maintenance system, and they come out every year and make an inspection. And when they make an inspection, they send a copy to the Kitsap Public Health District. So this year they found that water was seeping into the tank through the riser. And they sent that into the public health district, so we have to fix it. Now, this was put in by Whitworth Excavating when the building was built. And my feeling is they did a poor job. It shouldn't be leaking. So I called them up and they said they come out and look at it, and they sent me an estimate of $1,177 and said that that was, they were going to donate part of their time for that. But that it's beyond the warranty. So I called up Sean Bowden, who's the guy who is our septic inspector or our contractor. And I said, does this sound about right? And he said, yeah, it sounds about right. It's probably a pretty good price. So that's where we're at. John, you got any thoughts about that?
But my only thought on it was that I think it's kind of a cheap shot to say it's beyond warranty, because if it was installed faulty from the beginning and it just didn't last through that heavy rains of March, I'm a little disgusted with that company. We might well be painted in the corner of having to go ahead and fix it, but I'd definitely probably be making some comments to a couple of contractors of how that agency did not do a good job.
What kind of warranty did they say that they had on the work that they did when they put the septic in?
They only give you 1 year.
Yeah.
And then we went right into COVID. So, I mean, the fact that it failed when there wasn't heavy use, that really reflects badly on the work that was done.
Yeah.
Well, and it wasn't so much from use, it's from groundwater from the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When they were putting it in, I was watching them and they didn't really look like they knew what they were doing. They had to do some things over and they just kind of confused looking, it seemed to me.
Well, I'd be very tempted to get a different outfit to bid on it too, and tell them exactly what went on and see if we can get a price. Even though they may have offered to give us a little discount, I'm still not real comfortable with going back to them if they failed in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cheap is
discount on
cheap.
bad work is not very good.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, should I get another bid?
yes. I think that's a great idea.
2 bids.
2 bids is a great idea.
Okay.
I don't know. John, do you know of 2 reputable businesses in the area that other places that could give a bid? Do you know, John, do you know of 2 other businesses that do that? You're frozen right now.
Keep thinking about
The Dave's Septic System is the one that is our contractor that we have a contract with. That's one I know. My house, we use Aquarius pump system. We
Okay.
just got them this year. I guess they're okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always used Kitsap Septic.
Okay, Kitsap Septic.
They come in and they will do all the different types of repairs or baffles and so on.
Yeah, that's what we need. Mhm. Okay, I'll give them a call.
Great.
And maybe Aquarius. Okay. Very good. Let's see. Parish Life events. Chelsea, did you want to talk about Parish Life?
Yes. So I have in the works, busy. Some of you might have seen in the church things, our first Parish Life event for the church congregation is on the 21st, which is a week from tomorrow. And it's a potluck style. It's going to be outside in the event pavilion. And so I don't expect a ton of people to come because I know a lot of people are still wary about being with people because of COVID, but it will all be outside, and we'll have like plastic utensils to just throw away in between people, and having people bring something to share, and we'll make sure everybody wears their masks when they're by the food, and then when they go and sit down or stand away, they can take off their mask, of course, to eat. We are asking people to donate $10 per person to help out with like, it's basically like a fundraiser, and we're also getting everybody together, and it's nice to get together since our first Sunday back is going to be the 23rd now, so it would be kind of nice for everybody to see each other. I have a few people that are gonna help cook things, and some people are like, hey, I don't want to cook anything, but can I come and set up? And sure, why not? I do have work that day, so it's tight. So my mom's gonna help, and she's gonna be there for pre-setup, and then I'll be there by the time that everything is set up and help everything run. I want to do, well, myself and the Parish Life Committee I've created want to do events like this a month, and we're thinking, I have my notes. I'm like, I have my notes here. So this one will be our first one, and then after this, we'll do the first Saturday of every month at 6 p.m. And they'll all have different themes. And the third Friday of every month. That way, some people work on Fridays and stuff, and then other people maybe have plans over weekends. So that way we know we're hitting, I guess, everybody that way. And that's decided would be the best for everybody's schedules. All of them would start at 6 o'clock. That way we're not like, oh, Fridays we're starting at 4 and whatever. We don't want to be changing the time around. So it's just gonna be simple, easy. And this first one's gonna be potluck. Maybe in the future we'll have some catered, but we want them to be fun and we want the community to get together. So yes, for this first one will be a Southern kind of comfort food cuisine, which we thought would be fun for the first one. It kind of, comfort food, and everybody's getting together for the first time. And then the next one will be June 5th.
July 5th.
Would be like a luau kind of theme. So those are the only 2 dates we actually have set and themes that we actually have set right now. And I talked to Linda, and she's like, oh yeah, there's no one has said that they're going to be using the event shelter area, so we're good to go on that. But that's basically what we have going on. Are there any comments or questions?
Just as the CDC came out today with new guidelines about being about gathering and so on, gathering without masks is okay as long, and when you're outside, and if everybody's vaccinated, it's also okay inside. So yeah, that should help for the people who are feeling uneasy about being with a group of people.
Yes, yeah. And like some people, if they don't want to eat there, if they just want to come and get food and then go home, that would be fine too. If people just want to stick their head in and be like, hi everyone, and then turn around and leave, that's fine too. People can stop by or they can hang out for a while. It's very, very easy going. We're trying to keep it as chill and cool as possible because we don't want to scare anybody. So
good deal.
Okay, very good, Chelsea. Thank you very much. Sounds like a really good plan.
Awesome.
Well, and I'm looking forward to the concert there on June 27th. That's going to be a great time too.
That's right. We got a concert scheduled. Folk singer, rock guitar player, and sounds like it'll be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
He played the Blackberry Festival here in 2019, He does a great job. Some of his stuff is John Denver covers, and then he does a lot of a couple of his own original stuff, and then a lot of other folk sort of stuff, 60s, 70s kind of stuff.
And we're gonna do that outside?
That's going to be in the pavilion.
Yeah,
Yep.
so, great.
We're bringing all their own equipment. The only thing we have to do is get them a little bit of power so that they can be plugged in and hooked up.
Good, great.
St. Anthony's is becoming quite a happening place.
We hope so.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bishop in his meeting today said that outside, we don't have to have masks, but inside we are still going to be required to have masks. So even though the CDC says you don't need masks inside, we'll continue to do that inside for the large group, not for small groups, you know, like Bible study or something, but for the large group. Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you, Chelsea. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this new excitement, I guess.
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, things are opening up and we're starting to see things happening. It's really, you know, such a relief. Okay, I have a couple of things that I just wanted to bring up. One is that Kristen Roebuck and Thomas Alessio are going to get married August 28th. So we'll have a wedding. And they haven't set a time yet, but sometime on that Saturday. Emily, you're willing to be
Sure.
work with me
I'll
on that?
talk to Linda about it and see if we can get in touch with Kristen. Okay.
Yeah, I've been working with them, getting the scheduling going and all that. And so I believe they'll have a reception, like a potluck reception. And of course, we'll have the rehearsal the night before. So those things, we'll work together to set that up.
Okay.
Okay. And the other thing was, you know, the church has become a bit dusty and there's some cobwebs around and we need to clean up a little bit. I wonder if we could have a work party next Saturday, the 22nd, before the opening on the 23rd. Would that be all right if we tried that maybe like at 10 in the morning?
Sounds good.
The other option, of course, is to pay somebody to clean it up. Mostly it's dusting and sweeping and stuff like that. I don't think it should be too hard.
Bathroom cleaning.
Bathrooms need to be cleaned, yeah. Yeah.
If
Not
like
that the urinals are dirty.
10 of us be done in like an hour.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take too many people and I don't think it'll take too long. Yeah.
So you're
Do we
saying-
have a cleaning service? I mean, through COVID, has anyone been coming in or not?
No, nobody's been coming in.
So is someone going to be coming in now?
Well, we haven't decided that.
Yes, us.
Well, and I don't want to commit to regularly cleaning the church. I would like us to have a cleaning service. I think us pitching in to get it cleaned up before opening up, that sounds fine, but I don't want to on a regular basis clean the church.
Well, we should probably find someone to clean up, to do the weekly cleaning or bi-weekly cleaning or whatever we want. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm willing to help on some of that, but I can't do it on the 22nd. I'm entertaining that day, so.
Okay. Well, I'll announce it on Sunday and we'll see if we can get somebody. It would look a little nicer if we had it spruced up a little bit. And then we're going to need to be hiring somebody. I don't know how we're going to go about that.
Well, we'll figure out what the sexton service is going to be.
We used to have Cheryl Messino, and she was wonderful, and she's very reasonable. I think it was $200 a month. But she retired, unfortunately. I would love to have her do it again. And I don't know if we'll be able to get someone for $200 a month with the size of facility we have. Although it depends on what we ask them to do.
No windows.
No windows. What Cheryl did, you know, was bathrooms, wastebaskets, floors. She vacuumed in the entryway and in the church the chapel. I don't think she did the kitchen, so it was fairly limited. Okay. Am I the one to go find a cleaning service?
I'll take it on. I don't want to, I can take it on. I can find either a singular person or a business. I'll do some pricing and talk to some people and see what I can do.
Okay, Chelsea, I'll work with you on that.
Okay.
Together we can maybe come up with some names and then work together.
Sounds good with me.
Good. Okay. The next BC meeting, do you want to continue meeting online, or would you like to meet in person?
Let's meet together.
I would like to meet together.
Yeah,
Person?
I vote for that too.
Okay, I like meeting in person, but you know, it's kind of nice. You don't have to drive there and drive back when it's a Zoom meeting. So there's advantages to both.
So
I know
if we do meet in person, I'm starting a new job where I'll be working a lot of evenings or
Yeah.
late in the day. So it would be nice if we could do maybe like bridge. So if we all do meet and start meeting in person, if people that can't make it, somehow we can still meet on Zoom as well.
Are you
I
saying?
agree.
We can bring her in somehow.
Julie
We
might
can
have
make that work.
I agree. I'm still in the slightly attached to kid via breast stage. And I actually will be putting her to bed in about 20 minutes. So that might be a little hard for me to get in person at this stage.
Okay. I wonder if we had a laptop present, if that would be enough to do the Zoom in addition to the in-person.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay, why don't we try that? We'll have the laptop set up, the camera will be on, so that a person who wants to be remote can do that, and the rest of us will be in person. Does that sound like something we can try?
Do that.
Okay,
It sounds good. It sounds good.
let's try that next meeting then. It'd be nice to be together.
All right.
Okay, that's all I have on the agenda. Are there other, Peter, did you, the transition update, I totally missed that. Sorry,
Yes, you did. And I was going to bring it up.
good.
You know, I have been in contact with the diocese and with the canon of the ordinary, and I brought up to her a couple of questions that some of you asked about, and she forwarded a link back to me with the videos. And on my Bishop's Warden report, I gave you a link to those videos. And the first one, which is, we're now in transition, is basically for all of the BC members to watch. And I've already seen it. And Arian and Bishop Rickle and I forgot the other one's name, Ashley something or other, who's another one of the canons, are presenting this meeting. And it is all about what we're going to be going through when it comes to our next vicar. So Bill, plug your ears, cover your eyes.
Oh, you know.
No, just kidding. But we are going to go through a process. And the other two videos that are important will be something we can watch, but as BC members, they're not germane to us because they deal with the actual committee, the search committee and the profile development committee. And then we have the last one is about, we got somebody new already. Hey, and what do we do with that? As I say, I would like each of you on the BC to click on that link to the Vimeo site for the diocese and watch the videos. If you watch, at least watch the first one. So, and then we'll report back to them. And I have talked with Penny and with Jim, and at some point in the future, we're going to gather the three of us along with Ariane, who does live in Bremerton, which is a big help for us. and we're going to go over what's needed for us as the wardens, Penny and myself, and Jim as the treasurer, what we're going to need to have available for us during this transition time period. I did bring up a name of somebody whose name came to me. I did make a phone call to this person in regard to, would you be interested in being an interim? But I'm not sure that Craig Delseca is going to be the interim or whatever, but I think you need to know that he has been approached about it. And I have approached Ariane about it, but she will go through the process of deciding, and so will Bishop Rickle. He may say no, and that's, you know, we're going to accept whatever they put in place. A lot of this process, Bill, is going to happen after you leave. So we're not going to be fast tracking as much as we would like to be. But I think there are some things that we could start, like a profile, but we'll talk to Ariane and we'll get our guidance from the diocese on how this is going to transpire. I just remember the last time when I went off to BC and immediately got on the search committee and then was assigned the chairmanship of it. And we will not have any BC members on the search committee. That was one of the things that came out in the video. The profile will be done by people outside of the BC, and then they will bring the information back to us. So that's where that stands. Let's see, what else was there? Oh, the other thing was, Bill asked me a month or so ago to go through his discretionary account for 2019 and 2020 and make sure that the information was all correct and that what he gave me matched with the information that was there. So I've done the audit of his 2 files and I have found there's nothing. He was very good at it. He provided everything. I got the records, the bank statements matched up with his information, and one minor little thing that he paid an $80 personal checkout that wasn't in the recording, but he had mentioned it. So Bill and I have fixed that. We've already taken care of it. So his audits are good.
Okay, so Dee, could you put that in the minutes, please, that the discretionary account, the vicar's discretionary account for 2019 and 2020 were audited by Peter, the bishop's warden?
You might not want to use the word audit. That has some specific details to it, but reviewed and approved by would be a better way to go, because an audit has specific details associated with it.
Okay.
Got it.
Well, they've been reviewed and
Approved.
everything's fine.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, thanks, Peter. Anything else we need to work on with that?
Bill, one quick question. You asked about getting the overhead speakers in the sound system.
Yeah.
Okay, is that just in the using the mics and the way it's going out across the video now? You want to be able to get that same sound in-house?
Right.
Okay.
I'm thinking we'll run, I'm not sure how to do it, possibly a cord from the soundboard into the amplifier.
I got it. It's not a problem.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure how to do that. Okay. Are there anything else for us to do? It's after 8 o'clock here, so.
I had one thing. We discontinued making donations to the Lord's Neighborhood Diner because of a lack of participation in their preparing food for the homeless. The diner is partnered with the Salvation Army and been organizing and providing volunteers to prepare meals at the Salvation Army in Bremerton. And we have congregants that have been participating in that volunteer effort. So I would like to resume the donations we were making to from the endowment fund to the diner.
Okay. Loretta, does that sound right?
That sounds fine. I'm just not aware who has been participating, but if there has been regular participation from our congregants there, that makes sense. That would be good use of the brand, that fund.
Yeah, Janet Steller for one, and I'm so bad with names. There's been one other that's been regular, and then there's been the occasional other person that's been volunteering. Tuesdays and Fridays, the diner has been doing the meals for the Salvation Army.
Okay. Yeah, good. I think that's a great thing to resume that money because we had budgeted it out of the Brandenburg Fund, and then we just cut it off because we didn't have anybody working. And now that we do, I think we should just go ahead and resume. Do we need a motion for that, Jim?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
So
Okay.
moved.
Our old members of
Okay, so John's moved it. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay.
Oh,
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye or put your hand up.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. Good idea, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other business we have to do?
just an apology to the group for the fact that I got the time wrong and showed up late.
Oh, okay. Well, we're glad you made it. Okay. If there's nothing
Bill, I
else-
make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is
Aye and
adjourned.
aye.
Okay, aye and bye.
Bye.
Thank
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.